So, last class we were discussing about the different types of addressing modes of 8086, and we have broadly categorized into 4 types. One is immediate addressing, second is register addressing, third one is memory addressing, and the fourth one is the branch addressing. And I gave one example for immediate addressing, okay, one example for register addressing, and we are discussing about the memory addressing. So, under this memory addressing, we have further 6 different addressing modes. One is direct addressing, second is register indirect addressing, based addressing, indexed addressing, based indexed addressing, based indexed with displacement addressing. Okay. So, there are 6 different addressing modes under this memory addressing modes. I think we have discussed this direct addressing mode in the last class, isn't it? So, here how the physical address is obtained, that segment address content multiplied with 10h plus effective address, and the effective address we are getting from the instruction itself, or the effective address we are getting from the offset or from a register or displacement. So, in this example we have taken move AX comma 5000. So, 5000H. So, that is the memory location address, and that will serve as the effective address, right. Then if you want to clearly mention the physical address, you can write SS colon. So, you have to use colon, not the semicolon, or do not use comma, etc. So, SS colon 2000H, and as I told you, you will use the square bracket, do not use the parenthesis or any that flower bracket, any other bracket. So, you have to, all the time you have to use square bracket for finding the content of a memory location or content of a register, okay. That you have to check. Then second is the register indirect addressing mode, that is also called the memory addressing mode. So, here we are getting the memory location address, or memory location address becomes one of the operand in the instruction, therefore, it is called memory addressing mode. So, move AX comma BX, what is the meaning of this? BX is holding a memory location address or value, that value indicates the offset value, and that will be added with the CS into 10H, we will get physical address, and that will refer to a memory location, its content will be loaded into AL. Then the next memory location address, just add 1 to this address, the physical address you got from this BX, add 1 to that, you will get the next memory location address, and that content will be loaded with the AH. So, because of this instruction, we are in fact copying 2 consecutive locations from the memory to register pair AHAL. First AL is it is copied to AL first, then it is copied to BL, right. Similarly, if I write move BH comma DI, what is the meaning of DI? Destination index, and its content is again a 4 digit in hexadecimal or 16 digit in binary, and that will serve as the effective address, that will be added with the again segment register multiplied with the 10H or 10H, and that will give you the effective address, and from that only one location content is copied to BH, because we are clearly mentioning BH, which is an 8-bit register. Similarly, move AL comma SI. So, from SI you will get the reference to a memory location, and its content will be transferred to AL. Is it okay? Then move AH comma BP. So, BP is the base pointer register. It can also hold 16-bit value, that will be used for the effective address, then it will be added with the segment register content, and finally we will get a value, and that will serve as the memory location address, and its content will be transferred to AH. Is it okay? And wherever AH, AL, BH is mentioned or 8-bit register is mentioned, we are transferring only one location content, and whenever AX, BX, CX is written, so you will understand that 2 consecutive location contents are transferred to the respective registers. Is it okay? So, this is what we call the register indirect addressing mode. So, there are some observations from this addressing mode. What is the first observation? That BX, BP, SI, DI. BX is a general purpose register, BP is a pointer register, base pointer, SI stands for source index and DI stands for destination index. So, these are the default registers for data segments. That means, even if you are not mentioning or specifying the segment name in the instruction, by default it is understood that while computing the effective address, you are taking the help of data segment register, right. So, these are the by default you have to understand, and you can also clearly mention the DS value here, DS colon BX, you can write also like this, move AX comma DS colon BX. So, both the ways are valid, both the ways can be taken into consideration, right. But sometimes every time writing this segment register name may be tedious or cumbersome. So, to avoid that we used to write only the register name, but by default you will understand that DS is there whenever you are using these 4 registers under the register indirect addressing mode. Okay. So, then BP is used for stack segment by default. Okay. So, if you are using BP, so this is using the stack segment register by default, and if you want to make some other segment register, then you have to clearly mention. Am I clear? If you do not mention, it will be understood that it is referring to the stack segment, and if you want to clearly mention any data segment or extra segment, then you have to clearly write DS or ES. Okay. So, there can be the segment override prefix symbols which are used to access data in different segments. So, what is segment override prefix? This one. This is called CS colon, DS colon, ES colon. So, they are called the segment override prefix. Is it okay? So, move AL comma CX CS colon BX. The meaning is same, that BX content will be added with the CS multiplied with 10H, we will get the 20-bit physical address, and that will refer to a memory location, and its content will be transferred to AL. Is it okay? Now, coming to the next one, next addressing mode. So, that is called best addressing mode, and this addressing mode was not there in 8085. This is the first time we are seeing in 8086. So, best addressing mode example, so what is the meaning of best addressing mode? So, in the best addressing mode, the effective address, see the segment register content will be multiplied with 10H, that is the common, that we cannot change. Okay. So, this effective address is only changing every time from addressing mode to addressing mode. So, effective address is equal to BX plus 8-bit displacement. 8-bit displacement means you have to use a 2-digit hexadecimal number, and that will be added with BX content, and or we can also use 16-bit displacement. Either you can use 8-bit displacement or you can use the 16-bit displacement. So, physical address is equal to segment into 10 plus BX plus 8-bit displacement or 16-bit displacement. So, here move AL comma BX plus 8-bit displacement. So, BX value will be added with this 8-bit displacement value, and whatever value you get, that will be added with the segment register content multiplied 10H. Then it will refer to a memory location, and its content will be transferred to AL. Then what is the difference between register indirect addressing mode and best addressing mode? You can see that in the register indirect addressing mode, there is no scope of adding the displacement. The value of displacement is coming in the best addressing mode. Otherwise, it is same as the register indirect addressing mode. If you ignore this 8-bit displacement value, it is move AL comma BX content. So, if you write BX square bracket, that will be understood as it is coming under register indirect addressing mode. But if you mention 8-bit displacement or 16-bit displacement, so this will be known as best addressing mode. Am I clear? So, why it is called best? By this also you can remember that whenever the displacement is to be added, either 8-bit or 16-bit, then it is best addressing mode. Only you have to remember a displacement word and a best word. If you know the best and best addressing mode needs the displacement value. And in the previous two addressing modes, we have not used the displacement, 8-bit and 16-bit displacement. And remember, this 8-bit and 16-bit displacement value you can use as a data, 2 digit in hexadecimal or 4 digit in hexadecimal. For example, we are using 25H. So, Bx content plus 25H AL comma move. Move AL comma Bx plus 25. 25 is the 8-bit displacement value. This is the extra data you have to add to the Bx to find out the effective address. So, next one is indexed addressing mode. So, then how to identify this is indexed addressing mode? You can say that while computing the effective address, if you are using SI or DI, from that you will understand it is indexed addressing mode. Only you have to remember the term indexed, and index means we have the equivalent registers, only two registers are available, one is SI and another is DI. So, if you are using SI or DI as a part of the effective address, then that addressing mode is known as the indexed addressing mode. Example, move AL comma CS, here the segment override prefix is used. CS colon is called segment override prefix. So, CS colon SI plus displacement value, and this displacement can be 8-bit or can be 16 bits. So, next addressing mode is based indexed addressing mode. Now, we are trying to combine the based as well as the indexed. Okay. So, you can see effective address is obtained by adding two components. One component will serve as the base address, another component will serve as the index address. Suppose base address I am getting from Bx and index address I am getting from SI. Okay. So, move AL comma Bx plus Di. You can store some value in Bx and some value in Di and add together. So, that you will get another 16-bit value, and that 16-bit value will be added with the multiplication of segment into 10H, and you will get a 20-bit address that will refer to a memory location, and finally its content will be transferred to AL. Is it okay? So, from this addressing modes, what we observe? One more is remaining before going to the last one under the memory addressing. What observation we are getting from this? Because in the last class I told you that we are trying to make the addressing mode complex, is not it? And why this complex is done? And I had given two reasons. One is called garbage collection, another is called compaction, right. So, these are the two best examples. There may be other benefits also, but these are the two at least and very common and popular benefits from the complex addressing modes. Okay. So, for example, this is your memory, 1 megabyte memory space, right, and we store the program. Different users write the different programs on the same computer. Assume that this is the program P1 written by a user, and this is program P2, and this is program P3, and so on. And think suppose the P1 is started from this memory location and it ends here. Suppose it started from x1 and it ended with x2. This is started from x3 and x4, x5, s6. So, these are the memory location address. For simplicity I am writing x1, x2, x3, but in reality they are 20-bit physical memory location address, right. Now, assume that your after storing the P1 or the gap between P1 and P2 only 3 bytes or 4 bytes, and 4 byte is not sufficient to store a program. So, likewise, whenever you take hundreds of programs, several programs in computer's memory, so these small areas will be left blank remains underutilized, or that we call the wastage or the garbage. But it may so happen that if you collect those garbages and make a single block, and that can be used for a at least a small program or a medium program. Is it clear? We will collect all the spaces, small spaces from the memory and combine together to make a bigger space. At least it can fit to a smaller to larger program. Is that problem is clear? So, this is called internal fragmentation. You will read this in operating system, we call it as internal fragmentation. So, whenever you store the program and if you do not store the program efficiently, there will be so many internal fragmentation, and because of that a lot of memory space will be unnecessarily wasted. And to prevent that waste, we can collect those garbages and fit into a single place. But how it can be done? What is the solution for this? So, we have to think a solution that how x3 just will be equal to x2 plus 1, then there will be no wastage. I will set the x3 value in such a way that let the programmer write his own program. It is the task of operating system or microprocessor has to redefine the storage. Wherever you store or wherever you write the program, we are not bothered. But if it is a good operating system or efficient operating system and efficient microprocessor, what it will do? It will exactly find the starting address of the next program just after the first program or just after the previous program. And if this is maintained, finally what will happen? As a result, you will get one block is completely used and another block you will get unused. And unused memory, depending upon its size, it can fit at least 1 or 2 programs, or 1 or 2 or many, depending upon the availability of the space. Am I clear? So, for that what will happen? If you change the base register content by the gap between 2 programs, right? So, if you change the base register content by the gap between 2 programs, and this program P2 will be shifted or will be transferred to the starting from the memory location just after the previous program, and that facility can be possible if you change the base register BX value, and this BX register can be managed by the operating system or any system routine. We call the system software, right. So, the operating system or any kind of system routines, it can change the base register value to transfer the content of program or memory locations to another place in the memory such that both the programs will be concatenated. Concatenated means exactly it will be starting from the place where the previous program ends, just after ending instruction of the previous program. And if this is followed by each and every program, for each and every program, I think finally we will get set of used spaces and set of unused spaces, right. So, collecting these garbages and making into used and unused spaces, unused blocks is known as compaction. Am I clear? So, that is the importance of the base addressing mode. But what about the index addressing mode? Is that base addressing mode is clear? So, in the base addressing mode, we are using for garbage collection and compaction. Then what is the use of index addressing mode? Because there are 2 components, one is the base component, another is the index component. I will give another example. So, for example, you are writing an instruction add AL BX. Assume that in the assembly language code, I have written a label here in the place of BX an array 100. What is the meaning of array 100? So, 100 data items I am referring, and these 100 data items must be available in 100 different locations. At least 100 bytes of location I need to store 100 bytes of data. So, remember, whenever I refer this instruction, I will be only referring to one memory location address, but within that location I will be referring another 100 locations for accessing the data every time, and I will use a index. For example, if you write array 100, index will be I equal to 0 means it is accessing the first element, just like C program. And if I am writing I equal to 1, I am accessing the second element from the array. I equal to 2, I am accessing the third element, and whenever it is 99, I am accessing the 100th element. And assume that these data areas are different, but to refer to these 100 consecutive data items, right. So, every time I have to refer only one memory location address where my instruction is stored. So, I can get the address of the instruction by using base register and the segment register, and I will keep on moving the data for accessing from the SI, source index, and the destination index. Am I clear? So, that means I am referring a number of memory locations by referring a single location. Is it clear? And while incrementing the SI or a DI, that time BX content is fixed and the segment register content is fixed, because unless until I perform the operation over all 100 data items, I will keep on referring to the same instruction, and as long as you are referring the same instruction, BX content and CS content will not be, or the segment content will not be changed. Which will be changed? Only the index register content, because I am referring an array. Similarly, you can refer a matrix. So, this is a best example for understanding why the index registers are used. Am I clear? So, now if I add an index register component, then I can define an array and I can use array of datas. And if I am using a base register BX or any base register, then I can implement garbage collection and compaction, or at least I can shift the content of a set of memory location from one memory area to another memory area. Is it okay? So, therefore, it is called best index addressing mode. Now, the last addressing mode under the memory addressing mode is called with displacement. Is it okay? So, now we have combined everything, because there are three components coming, one is base, another is index, and third is the displacement. Now, all three components will be used for finding the effective address. So, effective address equal to Bx plus Si plus 8 bit or 16 bit displacement value. So, physical address will be obtained segment into 10 plus Bx into plus Si plus 8 bit or 16 bit displacement value. So, how you can see Bx will serve as the base register or to store the base address, Di will serve as the destination index, and displacement value is the 8 bit or 16 bit displacement. Is it okay? And the same purpose remains same for base and index, purpose remains same. Is it okay, or any doubt? Now, depending upon the application, you have to use the instruction from all these addressing modes. So, sometimes under this category we also have another addressing mode called string addressing mode. Okay, move SP, a string of bytes will be transferred from one set of memory location to another set of memory locations. Then last one is so, this is the branch addressing mode. So, there are broadly you can categorize in two types, one is intra segment and another is inter segment. What is intra segment and what is inter segment? Already I have told you the entire memory can be divided into 4 segments. One is code segment, that is called code area, then another is data segment, extra segment, and stack segment. Now, in the code segment you have written an instruction, and if you are using any jump instruction to transfer the control from one instruction to another instruction, it can be forward jump or it can be backward jump. It can be a conditional jump or it can be an unconditional jump, irrespective of the transfer of control. So, you have to transfer the control. If you are transferring the control within the segment, we call it as intra-segment, and if your control is transferred from one segment to another segment, even you can define two code segments, right. So, then it is called inter-segment. Then if you are using direct addressing mode to transfer the control, they are called intra-segment direct, and direct addressing modes I have given you example and we have already discussed, and for indirect also we have discussed, right. So, these are called only branch addressing mode. Why? Because these are applicable to all branch instructions. Even calling a subroutine is a branch instruction. Jumping from one place of the program to another place, forward jump or backward jump is also a control transfer instruction. Is it okay? So, we shall see all the types of branch instructions whenever we will go to the different types of instructions. Now, these are the exhaustive set of addressing modes we discussed. Now, we have to see which instruction falls under which addressing modes. So, types of instructions in 8086. Okay, so we have divided into 7 types of instructions, and some of the types of instructions are common to 8085. There is no change. For example, data transfer instruction. So, data transfer instruction means you will understand we are transferring the content of one register to another register, from register to memory, memory to register, or an immediate data to a register, immediate data to a memory location. All these are coming under the data transfer, because there are 3 units. One is the microprocessor, second is memory, third is I/O. You do any permutation and combination of transferring the data from any unit to another unit among these 3 devices, we call these are the data transfer instructions. We shall see what is the syntax of the data transfer instructions, but usually we can have move instructions, copy instructions, load, etc. So, they are called the data transfer instructions. We shall see the exact syntax, how to write data transfer instructions in 8086. Okay. Under the arithmetic instruction, here it supports add, subtract, increment, decrement, multiply, divide. So, remember these are not the I am not following the syntax, I am just telling you what are the different operations possible under each category. The syntax will be different. Already I have seen for move, it is MOV, not MOVE. Okay. So, similarly, under the logical operation we have AND, OR, shift, rotate, etc. We will discuss one by one each of these the syntax and semantics associated with the instructions. Then string manipulation instructions, we have load, store, etc. I think this string manipulation instruction is the one new type of instructions available in 8086 and which is not available in 8085. Conditional and unconditional instructions. Okay. Okay, for input output, we can input a data to a input device, or we can output some data to an output device. Like we want to print something using printer, we want to display something in the display unit. And apart from this, still there are some instructions remaining. What are those instructions? Set, clear flags. You want to clear all flag bits to zeros. There is instruction available. That may be usually in the beginning of the program, we used to clear all the register contents. Then stack operations and software interrupts. So, hardware interrupts are already inbuilt in the microprocessor. Directly they will be operated using the signal, but software interrupts we can generate using the instructions, right. So, software interrupts. So, these are the special type of instructions which are coming under the 7th category, and likewise the other 6 categories are the common instruction set of 8086. Then we can classify the instructions of 8086 into 4 types. Okay. So, do not confuse with the types of instructions and the classification of instructions. So, here classification we mean what is the length of the instruction. When you write an instruction, how many bits it will occupy in the memory. Is it okay? So, in the first category 1 byte instruction, that is push, example is push and pop. So, here you do not have to specify an operand. So, therefore, it is 1 byte. So, there will be an 8 bit binary code or a 2 digit in hexadecimal code for 1 byte instruction. And for 2 byte instruction, move AX comma BX. Why it is taking 2 bytes? Because opcode will take 1 byte and the AX and BX will take 1 byte, 2 bytes. Then 3 and 4 byte instructions. This I am giving an exercise to you. Find out at least 2 examples. Those will submit the assignment. They can take this an exercise. Write at least 2 examples corresponding to 3 and 4 byte instruction and at least 2 examples for 5 and 6 byte instruction. So, from this what is the observation? That the minimum size of the instruction is 1 byte and the maximum size of the instruction is 6 byte. In 8085 the minimum size is 1 and maximum size is 3. Now, we are getting 1 to 6 and you can recall that we have a 6 byte instruction queue in the BOS interface unit of 8086 and to support that 6 byte instruction queue, the maximum length is 6 bytes. Suppose an instruction occupies 6 bytes, it will entirely occupy the 6 bytes queue, is not it? And only one instruction will complete the entire queue. And for other instructions, you have to vacate the queue, then the other instructions will be allowed. Then how we decide it is 1 byte, 2 byte, 3 byte or 4 byte or 5 byte or 6 bytes. There is a specific instruction format. So, this instruction format is something different from this. So, next is what is the instruction format of 8086 microprocessor. So, since the minimum size is 1, suppose this is 1 byte, this is second byte, third byte, fourth byte, fifth byte, sixth byte. So, minimum is 1, maximum is 6. Now, every bit position from each of this format will have some meaning. Something will be having opcode, then there can be a D bit or direction bit, there can be a mode bit in which addressing mode it is. We have to allocate a group of bits for each of the functions. So, under which addressing mode it should fall. And there must be 3 bits used for register, because we have 8 registers. If you see the total number of general purpose registers, it is maximum 8. Therefore, 3 bits is allocated for identifying the register. Then the base value, as I told you, sometimes you will be using base addressing mode. So, some bits are reserved for the base value and some bits are reserved for the index value and some bits are reserved for the displacement value. So, next class see how these 6 bytes are distributed, and by once you know the instruction format of all these 6 bytes, you can know what are the how to form a 1 byte instruction or corresponding hex code, or how the hex codes were obtained based upon this instruction format. So, instruction format gives us 2 information. One is that what is the length of the instruction, how many bits or how many bytes it is occupying, number 1. Number 2 information is giving what type of addressing modes it follows and what are the different operands used in the instruction. Is it okay? So, these 2 informations will be obtaining from the instruction format. So, next class we shall see each bit position of all the 6 bytes. 6 bytes means 6 into 8, that is 48 bits. So, we can say that the maximum length of the instruction of 8086 is 48 bits. Minimum is 8 bits and maximum is 48 bits. But how these 8 bits or 48 bits are distributed? How, what is the meaning of each and every bit from the instruction format? And once you know the meaning of each bit, whenever a hex code is given for a corresponding instruction, you can easily interpret what type of addressing mode it follows and what type of operand it is using and what type of opcode it is using. Because from the instruction format itself, you can know the operation to be performed, the operand to be operated on, and different addressing modes.